Tony Dunn. Ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
What is up, Panther fans? Did they win? Did they lose? Did they win and lose? Did they lose and win? Were we watching Joey play basketball? It was the most bizarre Panthers game. Not the most, but one of the oddest games I can remember in Panther history, or at least in the history of this podcast. This is the final post-game show of the Carolina Panthers 2022-2023 season. And it has been a wild ride, but a great one, because I'm here every week with my wheelman, Cody Lashney.
Hey, how about we swept the Saints, baby? Read that. Who said they're going to beat them Saints? That's right. The first time we have swept the New Orleans Saints since 2015. Eddie Pinheiro getting some redemption. Dude, look, man, this is it. It's a bittersweet post-game show because on one hand, God, this tough season is finally over. We can close the books. We can look ahead of us. But it's also the final post-game show, man. No more Panthers. Man, dude, I'm just, I'm all in my emotions. Okay, I'm emotional today, people. You have to work with me while I sort through my emotions. But you know what? I'm going to do it with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. You already know them and love them. Our guys, Drew, Alex Mex Pro, Brad Holt, Dan Floyd, Double JR, Jerome talking shit, Ken Folk NC, Lawrence Trevette, Michael, Off Grid, Panther Growl, Riz B, Rockhead 81, SC Based, the Cardiac Cat 13, the Mogul, and Stats once again coming through with 20 gifted super fans.
What a great contribution.
That is the man. Man, Strats, we love you. Big ups. We appreciate each and all of you for being here for our final post-game therapy session of the season. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
I cannot honestly think of a more metaphorically symbolic, if that's redundant, I'm sure it is, gift that you could give a show completely based on fan community is a gift of a loyalty badge to the C3 Panthers podcast. C3 super fan, you know what I'm saying? Like, it just means everything to me. It just is very emblematic of what I want this show to be, which is fans riding to and fro the game together and talking about it every day and every week of the year in between about what this team does for us and to us. Should we send a broom to Sean Payton, CK, and say, sweep your ass on over here and coach this team?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we should. We should absolutely
ride it on over like you're a witch ass. No, I thought you were a witch.
The only one I care about doing that to is Cam Jordan. Right. Get that over to Cam Jordan, and hopefully his time as a dominant pass rusher in this league is coming to an end. But I'll tell you this. This was the most. We're going to have a lot of conversations. One is going to be probably very much surrounded by Sam Darnold. Another one about Steve Wilkes and whether this game helped, hurt, or didn't do anything for him moving forward. But God, this was a painful game to watch. Like, it was not. I know we got the win, and I'm happy we got the win. But we got the win with a lot of help. A couple of missed kicks from Will Lutz. Our defense coming and showing up in big moments.
Well, a 60-yarder.
55. And he missed 55? One. And he missed one earlier that was a lot closer in the first half as well.
Right, that was an ugly one.
Yeah. So I listen, and then we got a touchdown because of Michael Jordan recovering a fumble, and
it was
just
terrible. Think about that. Is
so
one of the
bad.
best plays of the game was by one of the worst players.
I
Right.
know, dude. Isn't that so symbolic
I
of our
told you it's a
season?
bizarre fucking game, bro. This was the bizarrest of games.
It was.
Yeah.
It was so weird, and I'm ready to talk about it. I'm ready to break down what we saw today, and I'm ready to give out some season balls.
Oh, that ought to be great.
Man, if Manscaped would have just sponsored us for another month, we would have had a great read there.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Go and message them and say you want them.
balls.
Come on, we ain't reading that for free no more. We ain't reading that. I ain't writing nobody's balls for free. How about that?
Even if
I'll
it's
tell you this, if you want to read body language, there's a this was a complicated game too for the Carolina Panthers. I tell you this, Greg, as I went to the sports bar to watch this game today. Generally, I try to watch meaningful Panther games at home by myself as I prepare for the show. It's too distracting of being around my friends, being around so many TVs. It's like ADHD of football experience. Much like when you go to the game, sometimes it's harder to retain the details. You retain the emotion. As this game, first, there were two stats I want to give you, Greg, and then I'm gonna let you introduce yourself. Is one, it was 3:30 in the afternoon, and there was 1 minute and 36 seconds left in this game. How did this game go by? It felt like the longest game in the history of the world, but also the fastest game. There was one other time we did this in the season, but the Panthers ran the ball 45 times that game. So you would think your clock's running. How did this game go by so fast with nobody doing anything? And then the second thing was I'm walking out. When Sam Darnold throws that pick, I'm like, man, I don't know. I just felt like this was a loss, and we were tied. I was like, man, the game's over. I'm like, do you guys want to start the post game early? And it was tied. And then I thought after I sent you guys that message, there could actually be an overtime to this bizarre ass game. That's what we needed, Greg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was a crazy ass game, man. I know I was looking at the first quarter and I couldn't believe how long the first quarter felt. And then everything after that just flew by so quickly. Like you said, I looked up and it was not even close to 4 o'clock, and the game was already almost over. But think about this. We had a game where we held a team scoreless on every drive except for their first drive, where we won the game with a missed field goal by them, then a long pass and a game-winning field goal, and at no point in time was I excited today. That's crazy. No, at no point in time was I excited about it. It's
and
so
I
weird.
tell you, is somebody else that wasn't excited about it was Steve Wilkes. As we looked at him,
but look, I will say this though. Look, maybe the game from a technical level wasn't the best football. Yeah, that's easy. But I also went into this.
Winning this game,
I also went to this game knowing that come September of next year, we're gonna be craving Panther football. Damn it!
Oh, of course.
So
okay. Thank God he didn't go where I thought he was.
Dude, I went into this game with two things. Well, I went into it with the mindset thinking, win, lose, or draw, this is good for us. If we win, we get to beat the Saints and fuck the Saints on every day that ends with a Y.
I guess it's a reasonable point.
Number two, even if we lost, it would have meant a better draft pick. So look, I'm happy. I enjoyed watching the game. There was a lot of ups and downs, but hey, man, you got to savor Panther football while we have it, and especially with so many unknowns going forward for the Carolina Panthers at the head coach position, at the quarterback position. Man, so much is getting ready to happen. You just got to savor the flavor while you have the opportunity, Tony.
You're listening to the C3 Panthers post-game show. The number is 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. Call in, leave us a message. We'll play it, and we want to hear your thoughts. Was this a win? Was it a loss? Was it a win and a loss? Was it a loss and a win? I mean, really, when you start to think about that, your mind may explode in some crazy ways. I guess I don't know where even to start.
Well,
where to start? Actually, here I'll tell you this. You'll like this. Okay.
No, I want to start where you want to start. I just want to give a real quick shout out to Panther Gal 73.
Oh wow!
With the $5 love bomb. You know we love you. She says for entering with a better record, or for ending with a better record for the last few years. Panther Gal, 1000%. And
He said it's a
CK,
win.
Yeah.
Okay.
And CK, your services are needed
Oh,
because we got a brand new member, baby.
well. Complex Integral
There you go.
became a YouTube member. He said, I want to join the C3 Superfan Club. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to support these guys who show up week in, week out, win or lose, off season or not. They're going to be here talking about the Carolina Panthers. And I want to say, I appreciate your support, Complex. Welcome to the C3 Superfan Club.
Hey, keep pounding. Floor is yours, Tony.
As I posed the question, was this a win, a loss, a win, and a loss, and a loss, and a win? Again, try to break that down. I, like I said, was leaving the sports bar to come back here. Generally, I can leave by 3:45, be here. We'll be ready, starting the show, no rush. This game went by a little quicker. I needed to leave a little earlier, so I'm walking out, and my wife and my daughter were playing one game of pool before they left. And my wife goes, "Why are you leaving?" And there's 2 seconds left on the clock. The game's tied. And I'm going to ask you this because I said I told her this is because I don't really care. I'll hear the field goal in the car when I turn on the radio. Like I'll know the outcome. The other thing is like I'm undecided ultimately in how I feel like I wanted the outcome in this game. And I was like, because this kind of, I didn't use the words bittersweet. That would have been too poetic for me. I was just like, this kind of sucks because like either way, like I was like, I'm out of here. And she goes this, but it's about the mentality.
Yeah.
She pulled out this. She don't even pay attention to us, man. She don't pay attention to us. She don't pay attention to, she likes Georgia football. She likes the Carolina Hurricanes. Like she die hard about them things. She don't care about it. I mean, she don't dislike. She roots for the Carolina Panthers. She don't root for another team. And she pulled the culture bomb on me.
Yeah.
How do you guys, this is how we start the show. How was this a win, a loss, a win-loss, or a loss-win?
Easy for you to say.
No, it's hard to say. It's hard to even think about.
I'll say this, man. The Panthers have so many needs right now. And we've kind of broke this down a little bit. I feel like every year we say that we're just a few pieces away from being a legitimate contender. And then the whole season plays out. And we're like, nah, you know what? We could actually use another receiver. We could use another corner. We could definitely use another defensive tackle. We can definitely use another edge. I mean, there are positions on this team that can be upgraded. And, now that after the McCaffrey trade, which seems like a million years ago now, we have the picks to be able to build up the rest of our football team. So at the end of the day, fuck the Saints, man. Dude, okay. The Saints and the Falcons are one of our, that's our biggest rivals right there. And of course, we all remember them coming into our locker room, sweeping it up, act like assholes to us. So look, we're allowed to just enjoy division football for the last time of the year. I believe we're going to be picking number 9 in the draft. I don't know if it's going to end up staying that way or not. But we've got a lot of time to talk about the draft. I know it wasn't the most fun game to watch, but there were times when I was really proud of this Panthers team who was without Brian Burns, without J.C. Horn, without Dante Jackson. We were missing a lot of big time players. And last thing, Josh Norman, God love him. He needs to head back to the coffee shop, bro.
Why?
Josh Norman.
He got burned a few times.
Was it in the first quarter? Was it in the first 4 minutes of the game? Because I missed the first
touchdown. The first
drive was terrible. Yeah.
He almost caught that deep pass, though. He almost caught that deep interception.
But it was a good thing that he didn't, by the way.
Right.
It was a good thing that he didn't because they missed that field goal and we had much better field position.
Let me rephrase the question for you, CK. Who was this a win for today? Not was this a win or a loss? Who was this a win? You don't got to pick one person. Go down a list of it.
Steve Wilkes.
And we can. Okay.
It was a
Wow.
win for Steve Wilkes. I mean, and not that it was like, and I was saying at the beginning of before we even started the show, and this game didn't help Steve Wilkes. It didn't hurt Steve Wilkes. We're back. We're almost in the exact same position I felt like we were yet last week when we lost to the Bucs. Right? That game didn't hurt him. It didn't help him. It just let him continue to be a part of the conversation. This game is going to do the same thing. It wasn't a dominant win. It sure did not. There was a lot of things that had to go our way, which doesn't normally happen for Panthers, but it did happen to go our way this go around. And Steve Wilkes came out on top. There was some things moving in our, that definitely helped him. But it was a win for him because his record has beaten in just a half of a season anything Matt Rule did by getting 6 wins in a shorter season. Yeah. And they're improbable wins that he got in some of these in some cases. And when you look at the people that he lost to outside of the Rams, they're pretty much all Super Bowl, or at least playoff contenders, right? Outside of the Falcons, which I don't even consider that a loss because of the manner in which that took place. But you had the Bengals, you had the Steelers, who now are, I think they're going, right? Didn't they win today? And the Patriots didn't?
I believe so. I think
so.
Oh, I need to check all my stupid prize.
The Steelers are going to the playoffs now because of that. The Bengals are going to the playoffs. The Ravens are going to the playoffs. These are the teams that he's lost to. The Bucs are obviously going to the playoffs, for lack of a better way of putting that. And who else did he lose to?
Who? Wilkes?
Steelers,
he lost to the
Steelers,
the Ravens, the Bengals, the Rams.
And the Rams was an early one. So that's
that's the first one. They didn't even pass the ball, but that was with PJ, and they wouldn't even let him pass.
Right. So like I said, he didn't. In many of those games, many of them, I will say a lot of those were blown out, like the 49ers, not the Rams game, the Bengals game, and the Ravens game didn't feel like it was very close, but I think the scoreboard looked like it was closer than it was. Right. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this was needed. He needed 6 wins, and that's going to be something that he's going to be able to take into the offseason to something to move him in the right direction.
Hey, let's just jump into this. We're getting to this eventually. Let's just do it. Did Steve Wilkes do enough in this season and even today to warrant himself legit to be considered the head coach of the Carolina Panthers? Does he have a shot? Does he actually have a shot? Or is this just something that diehard Panther fans and probably a bunch of Panther players want?
Can we say yes to all those?
Yes.
If you want to. I mean, it's up to you.
It has to. I think you have to consider. He has to be a real candidate. I don't know that it means that he's a surefire guy, right? But I think that he has to be a part of the conversation, and he has to be a final candidate when it comes down to narrowing down the list of people that you want to hire.
I think the answer is yes to all of them.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't
like he did enough. Think about this. He did enough to be a legitimate candidate for the position. He did enough for me to start the season. If you told me today, if you told me 3 weeks ago that Steve Wilkes will be the head coach of the Carolina Panthers tomorrow, like next year, I would not be upset. You know what I'm saying? Like I would say, like, yeah, I mean, like everything he has done, like he's a captain of the ship, bro. Like I will sail on that ship. Now, is that ship going to go down in the history books of the world? I don't know. But at the same time, so yeah, I think he did enough. He should be considered enough, but I don't think it's guaranteed or surefire or anywhere close. And I could see a real possibility. I still think it's going to be Harbaugh. I got reasons to tell you why.
Well, but there was a report today by Jonathan Jones that apparently they've moved on in a different direction. I don't believe none of that shit.
Yeah, I'm with you, bro.
Like in the past week, we have heard like 5 different things from different sources saying different shit. Like, there's no way that any of us can get a grasp on what this organization is actually wanting to do. Then, Tony, you did an interview with the guy whose name slips my mind right now.
Mark Ryan,
who said that we wanted DeMeco Ryans. Well, all of the reports that we had heard up until this point was that they wanted an offensive coach to be the coach of the Carolina Panthers. That's certainly not D'Amico Ryans. Then we hear today, news broke that Jim Caldwell is going to get an interview along with Frank Reich, former coach of the Indianapolis Colts. And
bro, this is all Greg's conspiracy hat. Bring it out. I can see through all of this. I can see through all of it. It's fake.
It feels fake.
It's fake.
Me and CK were talking about it before the show started, and like he was asking me how I felt about Steve Wilkes, and I've been on the Steve Wilkes train since the beginning. I like this guy, and I'm with you, Tony. Like, if he told me he's gonna be the coach next year, I'm cool with that. I'm okay. Let's go. Let's move forward with Steve Wilkes. But I don't think it's gonna happen. I just don't think, with all the talks and everything, I think that if they were serious about Steve Wilkes being the head coach next year, it would be that they would say something about it. There wouldn't be all this talk. Coaches coming
See,
in.
all of this talk is just cover your ass. CYA, as they call it.
You can go out there as the owner and say you like Steve Wilkes as your head coach, that you enjoy, you like what you're seeing, stuff like that. You don't just say that he's the guy for next year, this and that, but you. But
why would you
like him? That's what I'm saying. Why would you if you're not planning on bringing him back?
You shouldn't do it even if you were. You shouldn't tell your wife you're going to propose in 6 weeks. Or your fiance, like, or whoever she is, she ain't your wife now. You shouldn't say, "Hey, I'm gonna propose to you in 6 weeks." Just keep your cards close to the vest. All of this news leaking, folks. This news, and we got to talk about this game, I guess. Maybe we don't. All of this news leaking is all smoke and all directed, like Greg says, put the tinfoil hat on. The NFL. Let me tell you exactly what happened today. Did you see Steve Wilkes' body language today?
Yeah, he looked kind of dejected.
And you know what? I'm not going to blame him for anything. I've told you guys I can read him. Well, I can read him, but I've been trying to read his emotions on the sidelines and how meaningful this opportunity. He understood, not meaningful, like, thank you, you gave me the opportunity. How grateful. I'm not trying to say that. He understood the gravity of this opportunity, like the seriousness. And I told you guys over and over that the entire interview for Steve Wilkes was only in the season, right? And now the Harbaugh news comes out, right? This news coming along, and then you hear the NCAA and violations potentially. You hear about contacting him. We look at his face on the sidelines, and to me, I would feel the same way. Yeah. It's like, I don't even want to fucking be here. You don't want, like, why do you even want me here? Right? Now, this is why this story for Jonathan Jones came out. Now, I can't verify this, but it's why I believe it. I think the NFL called David Tepper and said, bro, Steve Wilkes is involved in this lawsuit with Flores about discrimination in the NFL. This guy has done a very good job as an interim coach. And before he's even coached his final game, reports of phone calls to Harbaugh are already leaking and all of that. What I think they said is this: y'all need to cool the rumors down, because we're going to have these interviews. Yeah. And we got to make this look legit. Why do you think Jim Caldwell's name was on that list today? Tell me that. Really, and look, actually, I would like Jim Caldwell. Like, he's a fucking good. He's very good. It's just boring. It's just boring. He's been very. He took the fucking Lions to the fucking playoffs, dude.
Yeah, but Steve Wilkes damn near took the Panthers.
No, they were like 10-6, bro. Like, Caldwell had a good. Caldwell is just quiet. It's just, what I'm telling you is this: is the Harbaugh situation, I believe in my heart of hearts, is still very real for Carolina.
Yeah, I do too. And partly just because of what you just said, Tony. How can you put 100% of your faith and trust behind any of this shit that you're reading right now? Right. Dude, and it's like, it's what you said too. You have to know that every NFL team, they have connections to people in media. And if they want a story to be known broadly, they'll call them up and leak information to them. That's getting them looking in a different direction while you do what you actually want to do. That's common practices. Yeah,
I don't think
mean,
this was by the Panthers, though, man. I think this was orchestrated by the NFL. The lawsuit is against the NFL, not the
Right.
Carolina Panthers.
Right.
I think they called David Tepper and said, yo, let's cool these rumors out. We need to throw some cold water on this shit.
Did you also hear the rumor that Jim Harbaugh was the one to initiate the conversations? Again, just if you're believing rumors, Harbaugh called up the Panthers to get interest from David Tepper, but then apparently, like, David Tepper wasn't willing to give Harbaugh everything that he was at. Dude, it's all bullshit.
They can't say that. Look,
I know.
If that is,
I know.
if the conversation was ended because of that, it would be an illegitimate hire.
Right.
That, you know, like the conversation could not go into those sort of details. And if that came out that it was, then the Panthers should be docked a first round pick.
Yeah.
I mean, like literally, because that is breaking the rules. That's entirely breaking the rules. If you are having a guarantee, a handshake agreement without doing the process, then the process is fraudulent. We already think the whole thing is fraudulent, and the whole fucking lawsuit is that it's fraudulent. The NFL called David Tepper and said, y'all, you guys gotta shut this stuff down a little.
Yeah,
My hat's not looking so bad now, is it?
No, I'm putting it on,
Greg,
bro.
Greg, before next season, we are getting you a conspiracy hat. It has to happen. It absolutely has
Actually,
to
you know
happen.
what? We got to make an emoji. That's the first thing
Yes,
we
we
got to do.
need an emoji, and
Let's make
Greg
an emoji.
and Greg needs a hat. Hey, but you know what we gotta do? We gotta shout out God of Blackness for the $10. He says sensational hires. I want better for this organization. God of Blackness, I agree with you, man. Like, if we're just talking about those two names, Frank Reich is a different situation because it's like Frank Reich never had the quarterback to get the job done in Indianapolis, you know? And I mean, I guess you can say maybe
Don't let Cody get away. Stop with this Caldwell slander, bro.
Dude, how about this? Wilkes better than Caldwell. Fight me. Fight me. He's better for the Panthers
Actually,
than Caldwell.
no, you like Wilkes, but Caldwell has been a far more successful.
Yeah, but
he was
like,
given an opportunity, though. That's the thing.
Okay,
yeah,
I mean, all right. Well, I'll be fair with that. I'm not ready to like bet the rest of my life on it, but you can't say that. That is a insurmountable argument. Then, if you always have an out that he didn't have the opportunities, Caldwell has been very good.
Yeah, look, I'm not saying he's
won
a bad
games.
coach.
Put it that way.
I'm not saying that he's a bad coach and that he hasn't won. What I'm saying is that if you're going to hire Caldwell, what is Caldwell going to do for the Panthers that Steve Wilkes couldn't or wouldn't do?
I feel the same about D'Amico Ryans, honestly.
Yeah, it's like you're splitting hairs at that point.
Yeah.
So, look, going back to my original question, did Steve Wilkes do enough? As much as this is a hard answer, I don't think he did. And I think that we were right about it after the Tampa Bay game. If Steve Wilkes was going to be legit in consideration for the head coaching job, we had to do what the Jaguars did. We had to sneak into the playoffs. And yeah, listen, I understand, and it's a very fair argument to say that this roster was so bad at one point, right? Going through different quarterbacks, had injuries in the defensive backfield. You know, you trade away.
How did we
Christian
ever
McCaffrey.
think we were going to be good?
Right, and that's part of the argument in favor of Steve Wilkes is that he was able to make chicken salad out of chicken shit, and he did it in a short amount of time, and got 2 more victories as a head coach than Matt Rule did.
I agree.
In like 2.25 years. So
he did enough. He's just not going to get it.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He did enough, but he did enough in the minds of a lot of Panther fans, even a lot of people in the media who cover the Panthers believe that Steve Wilkes should have a chance. And look at what Underground says. Wilkes made us believe again. He did, damn it. And no one can take that away from Steve Wilkes. And my time doing this podcast here on the C3 Panthers podcast, I have never been a part of a month of December where the Panthers were actually competing for something.
Right.
That's insane.
Okay? I
Really? And you've been
know.
on this podcast for a long time.
Forever, dude. I'm growing gray hairs in my beard over here and shit, dude. And yet somehow we still managed to be a contending team. Now, even though the NFC South was bad, you have to give Wilkes that credit, and I completely understand why a lot of people do want him to be the head coach. And I would be thrilled if Steve Wilkes got another chance, and I would be believing in him just much next season as I was this season. I just don't feel like David Tepper is going to go for an interim head coach again. I forgot who put it in the chat, but someone put it in there that like interim head coaches are like 111 to 219 all time or something. It's not good numbers. So I just don't see David Tepper just sitting back and saying, "Hey, we're gonna give Steve Wilkes another chance." I think he's gonna swing big on a Harbaugh. One of these coaches that are out there, Frank Reich, I could even see being a legit possibility. I don't know, man. We got a long time to be talking about coaching and quarterback.
Please no Frank Reich. Please no Frank Reich. Of all the
I
names on
don't
that list,
mind
just don't
Frank
want
Wright. Is again, I would see that as a lateral move from Steve Wilkes. While it's an offensive coach who has had some success in the league, I think that what Wilkes did this year is arguably his success in that 12-game stretch, if you extrapolated it out, would be comparable to guys like this. You know what I'm saying? Is so like I would not I actually think Frank Wright would be an offensive a great. What if we brought Steve Wilkes in and then he brought Frank Wright in as his OC?
I'd be fine with
now
that.
we'd be talking. That's
Okay.
actually the combo I'd be kind of interested in. But again, I think a move from Wilkes to Reich to even, and I would say Caldwell would still kind of be lateral, right? Like I could argue that Caldwell has a better resume. I think there's only one single name out there that has the hotness or maybe two: Sean Payton, and Jim Harbaugh. Those are the ones that have the sexiness to them that can overcome the lateral move. So if we're gonna go laterally, I just stay with Steve Wilkes.
Yeah.
And if you want to woo me with the girl that is the supermodel kind of, but could be terrible in bed, I don't know. Those are the only two names. Other are just lateral. The number's 252-228-5098. CK, you got anything to say? Not anything. You've got plenty to say. What do you have to say about this?
I think Steve Wilkes deserves to have an opportunity. I think when you look at what our offense was able to do over the past 6 weeks with Sam Darnold at the helm, we were at the top of the list in many of those categories as far as offensive efficiency and whatnot. It's hard to not even bring up Ben McAdoo into the equation. And the only reason I am even saying that, I'm not saying that he's been a game changer, but I tell you what, this offense has looked better than it had over the past 6 or 7 weeks than it has in the past 2 or 3 years, in my opinion. And so I'm happy that that's the case, and I'm happy that our offense is up to date. But I also want to know, do we want to bring another offensive coordinator and have a brand new regime and have all these guys having to learn new shit? I just need some consistency, and I think that we could get it with Steve Wilkes as the head coach. So I do like that. Jim Harbaugh is just one of those things. It's just really hard to pass that name up.
I agree. As we continue to move through the show and just look, we're going to have plenty of time to talk about the coaching situation and all of that. I did think that Ben McAdoo had one of the best quotes I've heard all year, this past week. And he said he learned that he was built for a storm, not a calm sea, or something. And I'm paraphrasing at this point, but he said it was like, I was like, gosh, that's actually like you are.
Dude, that's a takeoff of one of my favorite sayings of all time. Calm waters never made for skilled sailors.
Wow. Yeah, wow. So, oof. What this game right here with the Cowboys and the Redskins bizarre.
That's what I was just crazy about when I was like,
McLaurin just dropped a pass that would have made Sam Howell continue to look very good, and I was about to get upset. And now, how did that even happen, folks? Look, I guess somewhere there's meaningful football. It turns out that Ron Rivera doesn't know it exists. Did you hear about that last week?
He didn't even know that if he lost, that it was like
eliminating him from the playoffs.
Yeah.
Man,
I still think he should have been. He should still be our head coach. We should never.
Well, you don't. That's not a good time to say that, Greg. After he didn't even know what was going on.
I'm not worried about it.
He's on the hot seat out there.
He's a winner.
Oh God,
he's on the hot seat. I don't know why, man. He's a winner, dude.
All right, we're not going down this round.
He barely won that division, or I guess he got into a wild card spot.
They're 7-8-1 right now.
He had 3 winning seasons in 7 years or something like that. It is, it was time. No, and listen, I've said this before. 2 things can be true. Mm-hmm. It was time to fire Ron Rivera, but Matt Rule was not the guy to replace him with. Like that's just because things went bad after Ron doesn't mean that Ron was the guy that we should have stuck with. But hey, man, it's like, and yeah, I agree with CK. He's probably on the hot seat. So yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. But I wonder if we're going to talk about this game at all. Like we barely